I just got fired via WhatsApp on a Sunday. You're a CEO of this company, and then 4 months later, you're out via WhatsApp on a Sunday. It then hit me. What am I going to do?
In moments when something snaps, you have to take a step back and ask yourself, well, if that's gone, at least in the form that it was, so who am I beyond that? How many of those people are there because of where you are? And how many of those people are there because of who you are?
And once you can actually distinguish that, clarity comes.
Our guest, Maggie, is an advocate, author, mentor, and a woman deeply anchored in family and community. The clarity she speaks from was shaped not only by what she has built, but by what she has had to endure, examine, and understand deeply. What gave you the clarity that you're not alone?
And so what happened was, in 11th of January 2008, I woke up blind. I went to bed.
Okay, hold up. You're saying it so simply. Can you... How do you wake up blind? I mean, you go to sleep, and how do you wake up blind?
I'll explain to you.
Whether your questions are about relationships, identity, faith, leadership, work, or direction, this conversation goes beneath all of them into the kind of clarity you need to navigate them with wisdom. The fear and the faith. How do those two things coexist?
Because we're talking about a journey through darkness.
Did you find clarity in the darkness? Hey there. Sorry to interrupt you, but I have to tell you this before we go any further. My name is Fortune Ekklesiah, and I believe deeply that my calling in life is to help people discover and unleash their potential to grow and contribute in ways that matter. Now, the reason I'm doing this is clarity has been the through line of my life. If I think back to moments when I've had clarity, I have made decisions. Well, some of them unorthodox, but they've allowed me to live a life of more meaning and have certain important achievements early on in life. And if I'm being fully honest, life has also hit me quite hard. I have had the ground get cut from right under my feet. But even in those moments, the intentional pursuit of clarity helped me come back to myself. Now that's led me to a question I can't shake. I mean, you probably have it too. Why is it some people go through the same pain, the same loss, the same disruption in life, but come out on the other side stronger, while others get stuck in the same pattern, in the same cycle over and over again? I believe the difference is clarity and the intentionality in seeking it. I mean, I see this every day as I train and coach professionals, executives, leaders, very talented, hardworking people who sometimes get stuck, not for lack of ability, but for lack of clarity. And I'll tell you, it's not just in work, even in our personal lives, in our relationships, how we handle loss, how we choose what to fight for and what to let go of. I mean, clarity does underpin everything. So in this podcast, we're going to have real conversations with real people who are experiencing real life. And we'll explore the honest, sometimes messy, but deeply human journey of living toward more intention and purpose. And if any of this feels familiar, please subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is you do on the platform you're listening to this on. And come on this journey with me, because clarity changes everything, and I want that for you. Welcome to Clarity with Fortune. Today's our first episode, and I have with me a very special guest. She's someone I've known for over 10 years. It's over a decade.
Yeah.
And very fitting that I have her on this podcast. She's a lawyer, an advocate. I suppose there's a difference between a lawyer and an advocate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so she is an advocate. Let's clarify that. She's an author. She is a facilitator. She is a trainer. She's a board director. She's also a mentor. And I think that's one of the things that stand out to me in terms of just her commitment to developing young people and mentoring them, and maybe we'll get to talk about that and where that comes from. So I'm glad to have her. It's a pleasure to have you, Maggie, on this podcast. Maybe somewhere later in this conversation, we'll talk a little bit about her book and what happened behind a journey through darkness. I mean, darkness, and we're talking about clarity. Did we make the right choice of a guest? We'll find out.
Yes.
We'll find out. Yeah. So, welcome, Maggie.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, Fortune.
Yeah.
I'm I'm fantastic.
You're fantastic.
Yes.
That's good. It's good to start the year saying you're fantastic.
Absolutely. It is going to be fantastic. So I am claiming it.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
and manifesting it.
This is our first podcast.
Thank you.
A first sort of setup for me in this way. So I guess I'm also kind of looking for clarity. And these are just confessions as we start out. I'll figure it out. I'll get clarity as we go. And so sometimes clarity maybe comes out through taking action. Through the process. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And we hope they join us in the process as we go through it. There's a lot in your life. You've had your own moments of processing things. I think this book was partly a reflection as well. There's quite a lot of clarity that came through it. But beyond the book, I think your life has quite a lot of things in it. And that's, beyond you being my sister and all of that, that's part of what I thought, maybe Maggie's going to make a great first host. Plus, I was like, she's going to be easier on me because I know her, so. Okay.
Yeah, always start where you are.
Right? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question which is very open-ended, but I think quite reflective, because I think reflection is a big part of how we find clarity in life.
Correct.
At this stage of life, what feels clear to you? And what feels unresolved?
Unclear. Okay. So it's a very loaded question. What feels clear to me at the moment is that I actually want to be better than I was last year. There are a lot of things that happened last year that coming into 2026, I said, I want to be better than I was in terms of my work, in terms of my relationships, in terms of, business, building the business and everything. So those are some of the things that I felt coming into this year. I want that. How I'm going to do it, that's in the process. But one thing I do know is that I want that. I want to be better than I was last year. So that's the first thing in terms of what I'm clear about. That is unquestionable. I have a community that I know I can run to, and they will always be there for me. So that's my family, my friends, my brothers, including yourself.
Okay, I made it to the list.
You made it, yeah. But I have, a lot of my friends, and I do appreciate that because in this day and age, in this world right now, if you don't have somebody or people that you can lean into, then you're in a very lonely place. So that's one thing I am clear about, that I have a community behind me and they will always be there for me. And I'm grateful for that.
All right. That's interesting. I love how part of your clarity is that you have a community. Because I think the journey of life is not meant to be walked alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are social beings. We were created. Among the first things that God thought, it's not good, was finding a person alone. Now, we often think of it, I think, in the context of marriage, but I think it's just also in the context of He did not create man to be alone. I mean,
correct.
He needed that fellowship himself.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll ask you a question. What gave you the clarity that you're not alone? How do you come about that realization?
How do I come about that is because these are people proven time and time again that when things get hard, they stick around. They're there. When I can't express myself, they're there to help me express myself. In terms of family, for example, my parents and my brothers, they've been a constant. And you've touched on the book, and that we'll go into it a bit later. But even in the book, it's clear how my family came through for me at a time when I was in actual darkness, literal darkness. And they never left me. They were there. They were supportive, and they've been supportive. That's just a part of my life. But I'm talking about growing up. Regardless of the situation, regardless of what I'm going through, they would be there for me and make sure I am okay. I at the same time, I want to show that I'm okay. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then they're just like, calm down. Calm down. We got you.
It's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. And my friends, oh God, like Fortune and among my many other friends is you have seen me at my lowest. You have seen me at my lowest and you're there, you're ready to pick me up and tell me, Maggie, it is okay. I put on this, I don't put on this brave face, but I think naturally I appear that I am okay and I'm confident. And it's a good thing. But there are times when things just get too much. And I can be vulnerable with my friends and they'd tell me it is okay. I think I'm allowed to say this because you had the front row seat to this back in 2023. I lost my job. I was sent for a WhatsApp message on a Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
That you no longer have this job. And when
Sunday
WhatsApp, surely that's not the way. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. And
sounds
I
like
remember,
sorry, again, sounds like an immature boyfriend trying to break up with you.
I know, right? Exactly. It's like,
I don't know if this is going to make it in the podcast, but yeah, sometimes I have those weird thoughts that I'm not sure I should be saying or not, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But yeah, so imagine on Sunday afternoon, you get this message and I got this message and Fortune had called me. You had called me earlier that, we're supposed to meet this lady to go and discuss this. So I'm coming to pick you up and we go. And you arrive there and you find me in tears. Yeah. And you're wondering what just happened. And I tell you, I just got fired via WhatsApp on a Sunday. And the look on your face, you just hugged me and you just let me release it all. And I was very confused and you were right there. So that's how I know that I have a community. I know that someone is going to be, and you've been with me since and you kept checking on me, you kept making sure I'm okay. And that's something I don't take for granted. Yeah.
It's an interesting place to begin our conversation, to talk about family and friends and people that you can rely on, especially about clarity, because I feel as we go through life, there is so many things that seem to try and take our attention, that seem to be worthy goals to pursue. Yeah. Yet when all is said and done, when you can no longer do any of that stuff, you come back to the basics. Exactly. And the basics is those very people.
Those very people.
You might try and work so hard and get wonderful cars, big houses.
Correct.
But the very last time your body is interacting with a human being, all those things are not going to matter.
No.
It's just going to be people looking at your face.
Who is with you. Yeah.
And it's important that we actually are held to that foundation, despite the busy of life.
Correct.
I know you to be a very family-oriented person. Yeah. If there is somewhere you will find Maggie, it's at a family gathering.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Every little thing is family come together,
Let's do this. Let's take a photo.
So I think that's a good thing.
It is. And I think it is definitely the foundation. It is the basis of who I am as a person, as an individual. Because I value that and I see the importance. And I usually love that to be reflected in other people. When it's all stripped down, when you come back to the basis, it's both of us, we met actually because of the early program. That's how we all started. And one of the course, remember we took the course on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Which we've gone on to be very big advocates for.
Exactly. Everywhere we go. Yeah. And so begin with the end in mind. Remember there's that video about think of yourself as an 8-year-old. Who do you want to invite for your 80th birthday? And automatically you don't think about your boss, you don't think about your colleagues, you don't think about, I don't know, that client. You think about family. You want your kids to be there, you want your grandkids to be there, you want the close family, because these are the people who matter most. And so that's why I think for me, having that end in mind, that when it's all said and done, who do I want, without sounding very morbid, but who do I want at my deathbed? Who do I want surrounding me when it's all said and done?
And what are they going to say about you?
Exactly.
Yes, that's an interesting place to start the conversation. And just if I can try and pull up something more from that, you know, you told us of such an event, you know, where life went down.
Right.
It's easy, and you know, I say this again, just thinking about clarity, is because somebody might actually think, well, I have a lot of friends, and people who I interact with every day, you know, being the successful person that I am. You know, I actually have friends. I actually have people. And then when stuff hits the fan, are they there though? Are they there though? You know, how many of those people are there because of where you are, and how many of those people are there because of who you are?
Oh, correct. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And once you can actually distinguish that, clarity comes. Because then you know that this person is my ride or die, and this person is there for the vibes. Yeah, that yes, because I'm in this position, then they're with me. They'll, you know, you live in a nice fancy place, you drive a good car, you know, you have these connections, you have this network, so they're there with you. But then when that goes away, will they still be there? Will they still pick your calls? Will they still respond to you? They're like, oh, sorry, I'm so busy, because now they feel that you're no longer going to give me what I was getting while you were in this position. So it's very important, and And
I mean, there's, I mean, no jabs at them. I mean, we are all that person to someone, right? There's somebody that we engage with on need basis, you know, and that's okay. All while knowing that when stuff hits the fan,
you're not the person I'll go to.
You're not the person I'll go to, or better yet, you're not going to be the person that's there for me.
Correct.
You know.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of clarity again. So that's an interesting thought to think about, and to reflect as we go into this year.
Yeah, and something actually I do encourage the teenagers and the young adults, and even that I mentor or I teach at church and outside of church, is it is okay for you not to be liked by everybody, and that's okay. Be at peace with that. So the one thing I usually just encourage them is that, be good to people, be friendly with people, but don't expose yourself to everybody, because not everybody will appreciate. Not everybody will protect your heart like they, that they should. So, and that's okay. If someone doesn't like you, be okay with that. Focus on the ones who like you, because the ones who like you are the ones who matter. Focus on the ones who want to have a relationship with you, and that's okay. And that's a big, big lesson in terms of clarity, that when you realize that not everybody is my friend, and that's cool.
I'm curious what the nuance is like, because I think part of what we're going to be having in this podcast is conversations with nuance. I'm a big guy on nuance. I realize that to everything there is an exception. There is like yes, this, but not exactly that. This, and I like processing things in that way, because I think it gives you I'm not sure if it's a full scope, but I think a much wider scope and much wider, much broader perspective to things. How do you balance that with maybe somebody who needs a little bit of grace? Maybe they're struggling themselves,
right?
And because I've heard people who say, if they don't reach out to you, don't reach out to them. Like, what if people need you, but they can't say that they need you? And I've had a few friends, their struggle to engage might not necessarily be out of a lack of care,
right?
But out of just a personal struggle they're having, and maybe me continually showing up, maybe exactly what they need.
Exactly, that's true. You're right. How do you tell or rather, how do you draw the line that this person needs me or doesn't need me or wants to be there for me? I mean, I think it's one of those things that, you touched on discernment. And there's a friend of mine, she, the other day, like now we came up with this word, bandwidth, in this to mean that, does this person have enough
do I know this friend? Because there's a friend I know that likes using the word bandwidth. Like, I don't have the bandwidth, guys.
I can mention her name, Georgina.
Okay.
From Kenya.
Yeah.
So she's been my friend.
Hi, Georgina, if you're watching.
Yes, hi, Georgina. We've been friends for 21 years now. Mm-hmm. We've each gone through things, ups and downs. She's in Kenya, I'm here. And even in that time, maintaining a long distance friendship. But we work because we have bandwidth for each other. That I know we don't have to talk every day or every week, but I know that if I need something, if I need someone to I can offload, I just call her. I'm like, Georgina, sometimes she's even in the office and I'm like, I need to vent. And she'll be like, okay, I'm in the office, let me step out. And then, she just let me, or she'll be like, okay, I'm just finishing this client meeting, I'll call you back. And it's just being intentional. Like, she's gone through stuff, I've gone through stuff, and we're just intentional about it. And the process for how we got there was, we just, you're just being intentional with somebody that, you're there, you're showing up and they're showing up. It's reciprocal. But where you have somebody who is constantly being the one who's in need, but does not at any one point care about your feelings, your needs, then that's where you start looking at it from a different, so like, yes, I know they're going through something, but I'm also going through something, but they've never, not even once, checked in, or just when they are okay, they've never, reciprocated. So that's where it's for you to see it and pray for the Holy Spirit to give you discernment, because if someone is always taking and not adding into it, then that's where you're going to have a problem. Again, going back to the 7 habits, depositing into the emotional bank account, right? Yeah. That is someone depositing, or are they always taking out? So it's also important, and this thing is reciprocal. If someone does not want to be with you or does not care enough for you, with time, you will see it. You will try even for months, even for years. And then a time will come when you're reflecting, a word that you like, and you'll realize, actually, I've been depositing a lot into their bank account, but they're not doing the same for me. So is this something that I want to
Like, you're not seeing any signs,
You're not
right?
seeing any signs.
Because they might not be able to deposit at the same level that you are, which is the whole point, right?
Exactly. It's not about the same point. It's about that they make themselves available and they notice, right? Even in
they show appreciation for what you're doing.
Exactly. And because there are those who don't, they'll just keep whining and complaining and just think the weight of the world is just on their shoulders. And you're like, wow, guess what? We all have this world that we're carrying together. But it's that when you know your people, when you have that reflection and looking into it, then you realize, like, this person is for me, this person is not for me, and that's okay. There is this analogy about, friends being, the different, they use a tree analogy. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. They use like a tree analogy where there are those who are roots. You heard of that?
Yeah.
So you might find this friend was just a leaf. They're seasonal. They're leaves. So, the time comes, the leaf falls off and they're gone. But they were there for a time when maybe you needed each other and they're gone. And that's okay. But your roots stay. Your roots stay. Come rain, come shine. Your roots stay. Yeah. Your stem feeds into you, like it's that. But you have the leaves. They're just seasonal. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And
I think acknowledging that that's okay makes it all also more gracious.
Correct.
Because I think sometimes also being bitter about a relationship that isn't as active as you wanted it to be might be, the challenge itself.
Right.
I think those things are bound to happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I would say maybe a middle ground is like, hey, look, I maybe you're struggling. I'm trying to be there for you, and that's okay. I'm still gonna be here. It's not like I'm cutting you off and blocking you, but I'm going to engage with you in a balanced, healthy manner.
Correct.
So that I have space to address some things as well.
Yeah.
That we may need to think of.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So,
you'd asked me 2 questions actually.
That's actually where I was going, because like you answered one, and it took us into a whole chat about what matters. But it's interesting that chat led us to really what matters most in life, which is the relationship. What is unresolved in your life? What is unclear?
In terms of what's not clear for me at the moment is trying to build this business that I'm in. So consulting, I do consulting and like legal compliance consulting and business related and everything. But at the same time, it's a family business. So working with my brothers, getting that dynamic, making sure you have the difference between calling your brother director and, your bro.
Brother.
So you're like,
I love it, your bro.
Yeah, it's like, what conversation are we having now? Is this a family thing now? Are we discussing about mom, or are we discussing about who's our next client, So in terms of clarity on that, because 2025, honestly, was a tough year. And it's something that's trying to build that, okay, what are we going to focus on as a business? As a business, what are we focusing on in terms of clients, in terms of the progress that we want to make? So that's something that we're still trying to figure out. I think so that's one of the things that are not very clear. It's something that we want to do, but not very clear. Something that's also not very clear is in terms of relationships. I laugh about this because I don't know, it's always a topic that fascinates me. I like the last relationship that I had wasn't the best. Okay. And so, you're thinking that if I do get into a new relationship, I already know what I'm looking out for. But at the same time, I'm a bit scared that what if I don't see it? Like, what if it doesn't work out? I mean, there's a hope that it will work out, but there's also at the back of your head, you're like, oh, this last relationship, sort of started as though it had potential, but then it definitely don't have potential. Definitely don't have potential. And so I'm not clear about when it comes, will I be ready? Will I see it? Will I be able? So there's that. But then again, being a person of faith, holding on to Jesus, Jeremiah 29:11, about God knows the plans for me. So I get comfort in that God knows the plans. And so I worry less about that. But again, that's something that's not very clear.
Well, I suppose that's because life is all about searching for clarity, right? But from what I've heard, just from both of the things that you've just mentioned, something is jumping into my mind, because on one side there's fear, on the other side there's faith, right?
Right.
On one side there is, how's this going to work? On the other side, there's an element of trust, whether there's trust in God, whether there's trust in family, whether there's trust in whoever you're building a relationship with. And I think that is one very tricky thing, because those ideas, are both in our minds. And I don't know, how do you navigate that? The fear and the faith, because it would be, I think it would be disingenuous for me, at least, speaking of my experience, to say that I do not have fears. I know I have a few fears in my life. I also know that I have faith.
Right.
How do those two things coexist?
That's a very interesting.
Or does that actually even mean you actually don't have faith?
Yeah, that's something I know that's someone we need to work on. But I'm looking at it in terms of fear, not in the sense that I don't believe in something, but more like a concern that because as humans, right, we don't have all the answers, which is good. Because if we did, then we would not really trust God, right?
Exactly.
We'd be like, yeah, I got this. Yeah. And so I look at it in the sense that I believe, because faith, the substance of things not seen, the evidence of things hoped for. I look at it in terms of, yes, I believe that this thing is happening, but the human side of me is the one that tells me like, oh, you're not sure how it's going to happen. And you, for example, you want results. So you sort of want this thing to happen and for you it to be in absolutely your control, which it isn't. And so it's reminding yourself. I think it's that constant reminder. And I'm always quoting the verse, Jeremiah 29:11, just to keep me focused, to keep me rooted that, you know what? You don't know, but God knows the plan. So you keep going, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And when that fear creeps in, then you remind yourself that, all right. And it's sort of supposed to wake you up if you were just, So when that fear sort of creeps in, then you start saying, well, what am I supposed to do? Maybe I am not doing what I'm supposed to do. So if, for example, yes, I'm building my business, right? If I'm building my business, what am I doing that I should, like clients, have I contacted these clients? If I'm not contacting the clients, how do I expect the clients to know that I'm there, I exist, right? So,
so what you're saying is action fights the fear.
Correct.
And action comes from faith. Yeah. Because we never really know if that action is going to lead to results, right?
Correct.
One of my favorite speakers, or if I can call him that for now, but he's way more than that, Tony Robbins, he has this phrase he likes to say, clarity is power, right? And clarity comes before action. When you feel like someone is not taking action, you could attribute it to a lot of things, but beneath all of it is clarity. Like they just don't have clarity. And I think faith gives us clarity. Yeah. Because it says, how do you find clarity when you don't know the future?
When you don't know the future, you
can have faith. Yeah. That's why faith, as you're saying, is rightly said, is the substance of things, hoped for. Yeah. The evidence of things not seen. So the key word is evidence, because evidence and not seen, that's like a paradox, but that's the whole point.
Especially the lawyer and me would be like,
Yeah. And I think that's interesting, because sometimes, and then I love how earlier you mentioned the word control, because sometimes we think that the antidote to fear is having all the answers and being in control.
Right.
But
biggest mistake.
No. You could actually have clarity without necessarily having the whole thing set before you on paper, written in like the boldest ink they could find. So faith, I think, is extremely important.
Correct.
I think it's better.
It's better.
It's better.
It's just better.
And I say that also reflecting for myself, because that's not what I am temperamentally. I temperamentally, I'm not like the automatic optimist. I have to work hard to be an optimist, because I'm always seeing like all the potential pitfalls. I'm like a realist. And then I have to be like, okay, but if you're an optimist, if you try to be positive on the outlook of things, is you then say, well, that in itself is also not the full picture. It's, nothing, an optimist never has the most accurate look of things, but they have the energy to then work on things and increase the likelihood of them becoming what they are. Correct. So as you're saying, action has to happen. And that's perhaps the best antidote to fear, because if something is unknown, then make it known. Get started. This podcast is like, I don't know how it's gonna go,
but let's do it.
The stakes are very high for me. I always like try to hold myself to a high standard. I'm like, if it's terrible, I don't publish. That is to say, like, kind of wanting things to be perfect,
right?
But sometimes you gotta settle with the idea that, hey, it's not perfect. Let's figure it out as we go. And that is faith. That is the antidote to fear. That is the the clarity
Yeah.
that you need to get started and the clarity that you find on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process.
And
clarity is a process.
Yeah. All right. So let's try something else. Don't blame me for getting into it. You mentioned it.
I know.
Something happened career-wise.
Right. Yes.
And since then, I'd say, I don't know, your life has Maggie in 2015, Maggie in 2025. Career and identity. Like, this is my career. I'm a lawyer, and is this everything that I am? Or is there more to who I am than the career? Having gone through, because I know some of this, and again, I'm trying to frame the whole thing in this question is, sometimes we develop an identity based off of our career because that's what we got going on. And then in moments when something snaps, you have to take a step back and ask yourself, well, if that's gone, at least in the form that it was, so who am I beyond that?
Yes.
It's happened to me last year, got pushed out of my business. I don't know what has that experience been for you?
Well, it has been a learning experience that I've come to appreciate. You said Maggie in 2015 and Maggie in 2025. So in 2015, I was working for a high-profile law firm, and that's the time we met, actually. And the reason why I applied for that yearly program was because actually I needed clarity in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember 2015 was a tough year for me in terms of career-wise. So I had been working at that time for about 2 years, this law firm, and you're a junior associate, you've just come in and it's high profile, the things that they never teach you in law school. You come in knowing, you have the theory and everything, you're excited, the law and this and this and how you can frame things. And then boom, right in the deep end. And you're now being told about billable hours, how much client work needs to be done. At the same time, they're telling you need to do business development because you're supposed to, be bringing these clients. But you're a junior associate. You're literally trying to draft this, legal opinion, legal memo. And at the same time, someone is telling you, because at the time, as a junior associate, you get work from each and everybody. So you're not specialized in any department. So someone from banking will come, someone from corporate will come, someone from real estate will come, someone from mining will come in. They all want their work to be done and all of it to be submitted. And you're like, I am one person. How am I supposed to do this? And so I remember I was getting frustrated. And if you do dare say anything, it would be like, this is a corporate world, deal with it. Strap up your boots and just go for it. And so it was... or put on your big girl pants, and I was really trying to understand, how do I balance this? How do I balance in terms of meeting my deadlines? How do I, in terms of prioritizing? But at the same time, having a life outside the office. So all these things were happening. And I remember feeling very frustrated and I just didn't know. And so when I was talking to some friends and that's when they told me about this program. But I just needed this clarity, and so a friend had participated in the Mandela the Mandela Fellowship, and they told me about it, and I read about it, and I was so excited. So I remember applying for Mandela, and I didn't get it. That deflated me because I'm like, but I really want this thing, and that same year, I had also applied for a scholarship for my master's, and I also didn't get it. So 2015 for me was the first half of the year was not very good for me. And I'm frustrated at work. These things that I'm trying to do in terms of self-development are not working. So what am I going to do? And so then I get a call from now the Yali program. It was now they said that they received a lot of applications for the Mandela Fellowship, but which only took 500 people from the whole of Africa. So now they realize because there's a greater need, they've decided to set up these regional resource centers. And so the first one will be Nairobi, and they asked if I'm interested because they had seen my application from the Mandela one. And I was like, yes, what do I have to do? They're like, oh yeah, just, we'll just ask you a few questions and go for it. I was like, okay. And so I got into it and I was so excited. I was so excited without knowing why, but I was excited. I was like, at least something is happening. There's a turn. So during that time, and I just remember that is where, and having undergone through the 7 Habits training, because it was not just about the book, it was a week-long training on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Then that's when things started making sense in terms of the paradigm shift that, it's talked about quite a bit in the book. About, that paradigm shift and not looking at things, having things happening to you, but, you having something to do, being proactive, or looking at prioritization. So that time matrix about the important, the urgent and everything. So all these things then started giving me clarity in terms of the work that I was doing. And so that then helped me and shaped me in terms of the work, career-wise, and the struggles were there, but they were less. I could manage them better. And so it was great. And I continued working there and up until 2022, when this other opportunity came about, and I left the job. It was, 9 years I had been with this law firm, and it was good. So it was not, by the time I was leaving, it wasn't that we were having problems or anything, but I felt like it was time for me to grow and move out and explore something else. And even my boss at the time, and still, we still talk, we're still in communication. And when I expressed that I'm leaving, he was like, but why? Because, you're already doing so well. But I just don't I feel like it's time for me to move to something bigger. And, full supportive and everything. Then that's when I go now to this job that lasted 4 months. Always funny. And what happened now that in 2022 was, now 2023, like I said earlier, is that the job that I had left this 9-year, which had already defined, everyone knew Maggie worked for this law firm, and the way I was, the way I carried myself and everything. Yeah. And then now, you become, you're a CEO of this company, and then 4 months later, you're out via WhatsApp on a Sunday. Again. So, emphasis. Yeah. But it then hit me. What am I going to do? I was privileged that straight out of university, straight out of law school, I had the job waiting because I had already interned and everything. And so I got into job. I didn't have to wait. So I was grateful for that. This was now the first time that I'm thinking about, where am I going to get money? What am I going to do with my life? But as our God is faithful, it was during that time when I was very confused and everything, where friends encouragement, family encouragement, they're like, but Maggie, there's already so much that you're doing in terms of consulting, in terms of emceeing or facilitating, in terms of, why don't you tap into that? And at first I didn't think very much of it, but that's actually then what happened. I started using the networks I have. Someone just calls us like, oh, Maggie, you do translation work. I have this document for translation. Are you able to do it? I'm like, yeah, sure. I would do it. They pay me a few things, we keep going. And one thing led to another. And then I get this client who, just from doing that translation work, and who was also a former client of mine from the law firm I worked in. And they gave me work that provided me income for the next 6 months. And so at that point, I was being asked, are you going to look for a job? And then I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so, because right now, after that WhatsApp message, it then got me thinking, if someone has this much control over you that in a snap they can just tell you leave, then I don't think I ever want to be in that position again. And so then that's when I was like, okay, now we have to like build this, develop this consultancy, make it something big, get the clients, use the networks, use already the people who know you, they've seen your work, your friends, referring you to things, calling you up, partnering with them in training. I know you've done that with you a few times. And so that helps me. And there are times, honestly, where things are not well. There's no client, there's no work coming in, and you're like, how am I going to survive? And I remember during one of those times, our mutual friend, Modesta, she posted on LinkedIn about always remember your why. And I read that post, and it's like, if you go into entrepreneurship or if you go into, just ask yourself, why did I get into this in the first place? So I remember after reading that post, right there and then, I wrote down my whys. Why I don't want to go back into full-time employment because, and then I had my reasons there. And one of course, the top of the list was, I just don't want someone to have that much control or power over me in terms of them deciding, my future, snap of a finger. But also in terms of values and alignment, because this company that I entered into, that I stayed in for 4 months, our values are very different. And I know, Fortune, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I referred some work to you and, it didn't work out.
I was like, this just looks off.
It looks off, exactly. And so it's just that our values didn't align. And that is something that also, again, which brings clarity. When you know your value, when you know what you stand for, you know what you cannot compromise. That gives you a lot of clarity.
Now, a journey through darkness, because this is a big part of who you are. From the moment I met you, you'd written this book already.
Yes.
And it's really been, I think, the one thing that when you want to give someone like a meaningful gift, I've noticed that, you go back to a book. So I think this is a big part of who you are.
It is.
But I want to go about it. And again, maybe I take back some of my words. I mean, a book is never like someone's whole identity, but I think it's a significant portion of reflections that you've done on life, shared through your story, shared through the meaning behind it.
Right.
So a journey through darkness, which, as I said earlier, is quite funny because we're talking about clarity, and here you are, you've written about darkness. But the interesting thing is, you have a lighthouse right here.
Absolutely.
And
it was intentional.
It was. So tell us, a journey through darkness, the lighthouse, what happened, and how has that shaped how you think and see life?
So A Journey Through Darkness is a book I wrote when I was in university pursuing my law degree.
Okay. How many of you reading books while you're in uni? Me neither. So let's go on.
And so it narrates a story, a personal experience that I went through at the age of 19.
Okay, so a teenager still.
Yes, I was still very much a teenager. And so what happened was 11th of January 11th of January 2008, I woke up blind. I went to bed.
Okay, hold up. You're saying it so simply. Can you... How do you wake up blind? I mean, you go to sleep, and how do you wake up blind?
How do you wake up blind? Well, okay. So this is literally what happened. I'll explain to you as it was on that 11th of January. My mom, a few weeks before that, I had traveled for one of our church programs. It was a camporee in Taipei, Taiwan.
Okay.
And while I was there, I said no, I was not feeling very well. And I think on the last night, when we had finished the camporee and, it was farewell and, saying bye to people, that whole day I had been feeling, I had this migraine and whatnot. So, everyone is there cheering and having a good time. And I'm just, me and my energy, but I didn't have it that day. And so part of it was because I was going to miss the friends that I'd made during that short week. But at the same time, I just was not feeling okay. So I remember as I was getting onto the bus to go back to the hotel, I just felt dizzy and I fell. And they held me and they're like, what is going on? And so they rushed me to hospital.
She doesn't want to go back to Tanzania. One of them must be thinking like,
I'm sure they're like,
she doesn't want to go back to her home.
Well, I really wanted to come back home because, the food there, definitely not. So I was definitely craving my mom's cooking.
Okay.
So they rushed me to hospital and then they're like, oh, you're anemic. And I'm like, I always know I never have enough blood. So but they're like, it's like really bad. You need a transfusion. And I'm like, I'm not going to get blood from people I don't know, even though basically that's what usually happens.
I know, right?
But in my mind, I was like, I'm far away from my mommy, I need to be there. But so anyway, they just stabilized me. And then I was discharged and I had to take my flight the next day to come back to Dar es Salaam. But at the time, we didn't live in Dar es Salaam. We lived at home, which is Msoma, Lake Victoria side. So I had to fly to Dar, then fly to Mwanza, and then drive to Msoma. So it was a long trip. Yeah. And then just fast forward is I arrived home and I was still not well and I just kept having these migraines and I was sick. So eventually my parents then are like, okay, no, we have to bring her now to Dar es Salaam to the biggest hospital, so that she can get treatment. And then now we flew in, it was a Thursday, and we went to the National Hospital, Muhimbili. When we walk into the ward, at this time, my eyes, the whole day, had been like flickering. And I remember I was like, Mom, it's too bright, it's too bright, it's too hot, it's too bright. It's all that. So I would walk actually with my eyes squinted and holding my mom's hand because it's too bright for me. And I'm just like, it just, all these flashing lights. And so when we walked into the ward, the place was packed. There was no space, like there was no bed space, to the point that 2 patients were sharing a bed. Like each bed had 2 patients on it because there were not enough beds and not enough places to take people. So like, am I supposed to share a bed with a total stranger in a hospital? I don't know what disease they have. So nope. I just stood with holding my mom and I'm like, no. So
19 years.
19 years. Yes, trust me. Was I clinging to my mother? Yes. Like a 2-year-old? Yes. And so my dad is going around just, to just check, like, is there any other option? And they're like, no, this is all we have. And the thing that really struck me was the first bed that was, as soon as you got in, there was a bed and someone was covered with a white sheet. And I was like, suspicious. This does not look right. And
covered all the way to the head, like head to toe.
Yes. So the person had actually died.
Oh.
And they were now dealing with the process of taking their body to the mortuary. But in the meantime, their body was just there.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I am not getting admitted here. Please discharge me very fast. And like, so just wait for the doctor to come so that they can write for you the test and everything. So we waited there a few and I was like, no, I'm not sitting down. I am just, was I in pain? Yes, but my pain was not going to let me be there for that long. So anyway, the doctor came and I explained what was happening, what was going on. They wrote for me a bunch of tests. I was like, of course, the eyes, the migraines and everything. They wrote for me a bunch of tests that I should carry. I was like, could I please be discharged and do this tomorrow? And the doctor was like, yeah, I was discharged, and we left. Now, Friday morning, when I'm supposed to now wake up and
so this
how
is
this says
11th
of January. Yes, now 11th of January
2008.
It was a Friday. So I hear a knock on the door and I open my eyes and I'm like, it's still dark. Why? And I love my sleep. I've always loved my sleep. So I can literally walk out of bed with my eyes closed and I'm okay. Yes, it has happened a few times.
Okay.
I woke up and my eyes, I'm opening and it's dark and I'm just like, I open the door and my mom is like, why are you still asleep? We have to go to the hospital. I'm like, because it's still dark. She's like, Maggie, I know you love your sleep, but it's already 8 a.m. We need to go. And I'm like, what do you mean it's 8 a.m.? And there I am rubbing my eyes. And I'm like, Mama, I can't see. Like, Mama, I cannot see. And she's like, Maggie, what time chezo? Like, just don't. And I'm like, Mama, seriously, I cannot see. Then that's when it like really hits. And you know, the way I had walked from the bed and, you know, without knocking anything, suddenly it hit me that I cannot actually locate where the bed is. And I'm like, Mama, I can't see. So my mom comes in and she clearly can see that I can't see. And so she comes in and she helps me get ready. And this time I'm just crying. I'm just crying because this does not make sense. What do you mean I cannot see? She helps me get ready and I'm crying and she picks out an outfit for me and helps me dress up. And she holds my hand as we're going for breakfast. And my dad, now this, of course, I wasn't seeing my dad, but she told me. And now this I come to find out later, like my dad is looking at me come in and he's a bit confused. Yes, remember the previous day I was clutching on to Mama, but this time it was different. And I'm in tears. And I sit down, Mama helps me sit down. And she brings for me breakfast and I'm just crying. And I greet my dad and I'm just crying and he's
And for
trying.
context, you're his only daughter.
Oh, yes. That's very important. I am an only girl, my only daughter. So I am definitely my dad's pride and joy.
Yeah.
And so I'm crying and I just can't eat. And the waiters there, they're also confused because they had seen me the previous day. And so my mom is trying to make me eat and I just can't eat because I am blind. And I'm just having all these thoughts in my head, like I can't see and what's going to happen to me and all that. The thing I think I was just dreading the most was I had just finished Form 4 the previous year. My results had not even come out. So I'm thinking like, what's going to happen to me? What's my future? I've always wanted to be a lawyer. What is going to happen to me? Literally, those are the thoughts that are going through my head, that my life is over. Will I get married? That 11th of January, that's why it's seared in my brain that it's something that it literally was something that just changed my life completely. Changed my life completely.
So that's 2008.
2008.
How long did that go for?
So completely blind for a month.
Okay.
That's where like I'm not seeing anything. I'm literally being held. Whoever who's on duty that day will hold and lead and guide me. And of course, your favorite character, Lucky, made sure that I was really not pretending. And he would intentionally put an obstacle on my way.
Wow.
Just to be sure that I'm actually not seeing. And I literally hit a post because he just let me walk into it.
Just to test. Oh my God,
and
Lucky.
He was the one person who did not believe. He's going to love this. He's going to love this. But anyway, it was honestly, it was a time of a lot of self-reflection because when you're sitting in that darkness and literally the only thing you can hold on to is that God is seeing me in my darkness. That was the one thing that I was like, nobody understands what I'm going through. Even my mom, she loves me, my parents, my brothers, my dad, they all love me, but they don't understand what I'm going through because I also don't understand what I'm going through, right? But God does. So that's why during that time, I remember my mom, we would be singing a lot. She would be sharing the verses that she had been teaching me, growing up, and then she would make me memorize them and claim them. And there was a lot of that because there was nothing else I could do, right? And so, of course, the book explains, all we had to do in terms of getting the the clarity. No, sorry. Well, I'm talking
The
a lot about
clarity.
clarity. But in terms of getting the help that I needed, they kept coming. They're carrying out all these different tests. You'd have the ophthalmologist coming, you'd have the neurosurgeon, you'd have just anyone. They're trying to do all these MRIs and scans. Or was it spoiled at the time? Oh yeah, no, I think it was there, but I think
it wasn't functional.
It wasn't functional at the time, so that's why I had to go to Aga Khan, and it was very expensive. There was this absolutely amazing doctor. She was an ophthalmologist at Muhimbili, and she was like, "No, there's something at the back of your eye. It seemed like there's a bit of pressure." And she starts talking about all these terms, and that I think I remembered from biology, that, and like your optical disc is serrated and stuff, and I'm like, this sounds serious, because from what I remember in biology class, this thing is supposed to just be circular. Why is it serrated? So I'm just like, woo, this is big, and so I would cry. So the more they would say all these medical terms, that's me crying, because I'm just thinking like, this is bad. And so as we're trying to find solutions and whatnot, then family members are coming in and with suggestions, and someone's like, oh no, try this at the hospital, CCBRT. And at the time it was like, you've gone to the national hospital, why would you go to this at the smaller hospital? But CCBRT was very, and still is very focused on disability or the likes. They have a heavy focus on that. And so we went there, and there was this English doctor. Before going to CCBRT, the neurosurgeon who attended to me at Muhimbili, I will not mention names, but he told my parents that I'm pretending. That, she's a 19-year-old teenager, she's attention seeking, so just leave her and you'll see she'll be back to normal. This is like 2-3 days after, it had happened. And my parents are looking at him like, in all your schooling, this is the best diagnosis you could come up with. And so it was, my parents were just like, we know our daughter. That's not happening. That is not happening.
And that speaks to some biases and insensitivity that we have with the young generation. You could be a brain doctor, which is like the supposedly very intelligent person, and still not have clarity, still not have like right understanding.
Exactly.
Merely because of biases that you've developed that you're not willing to question, and they can even cloud your best intelligence and judgment.
Correct.
Well, don't be that neurosurgeon, as we say.
Please, don't be that neurosurgeon. And so my parents were like, no. And so when we went to CCBRT, there was now this English doctor who looked at the scans and looked at everything, and then that's when he comes up and tells me, this is the problem. This is what's wrong. You there's a lot of pressure that has built up in your brain. So intracranial pressure, and it's causing the optic nerve to swell, hence the blindness. So in order for you to gain your sight back, you need to have this pressure removed. And how do they do that? Then that's when he told me about the procedure. And he said that I personally would advise that you don't have it here in the country, because the person who would be doing this procedure would be, drum roll please,
neurosurgeon.
Exactly. Who thinks I'm pretending? So would I want him to touch me? Absolutely not. There was suggestion to go abroad, and I am grateful. This is where I don't take it for granted that my parents were in the financial capacity to take me abroad to receive this life-changing surgery. That's where I got the treatment. And they had the same diagnosis, because of course when you get to the US, they're not going to really take what you've come with. They'll start afresh and do their own tests and to just make sure that you are, it is the right diagnosis. And it was exactly what that the doctor from CCBRT, Dr. Bowman, I can't mention his name, Dr. Bowman, what he had diagnosed, and then I had the surgery. So what they did was they had to insert a device. It is called it was a tube, so it's a lumbar shunt. That's what I don't know, medical term, where it is now supposed to drain the excess fluid from my brain and then take it out of my system, because they don't know exactly what caused that increase in the intracranial pressure, and also they don't know how long it's going to be there for. So the condition itself was that I was diagnosed with, it was called pseudotumor cerebri. And what surprised them as well, they said, this is something that is common in white obese women. Look at me now. I don't like.
Does any of that apply to you?
No. So they were so shocked. And remember, I was 19 at the time.
Well, I mean, the woman part applies.
Okay, at least the woman part. One thing applied.
Let's get that clarified
Yes.
for our viewers.
Yes, very much a woman. Wow, that was the book. Oh, no, that was not the book. That was the experience.
That was the story. There's actually quite more in the book that you need. You need to get the book. And later she's going to tell us how you can get the book. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. So you're going through darkness. So part of what we do when we do our team building activities, there's an activity I used to do. I don't do it as often these days. Where we blindfold people and they have to do some things, and after some time someone gets uncomfortable because they don't see it. You kind of get disoriented.
Right.
What is it that? So by the way, I can just appreciate the difficulty of having to live with that for a month, and then even sort of like not full sight.
Right. Afterwards. Correct.
So having gone through that experience,
right,
where you actually can see things. There's a part of the world that is shut out,
right,
to you.
Yeah.
What did that teach you about life?
My favorite.
Did you find clarity in the darkness?
Yes. Yes. My favorite line, Fortune.
Yeah.
I walk by faith, not by sight.
Not by sight.
Exactly.
Both figuratively and literally.
Yes. Yes. What that taught me, honestly, being in that darkness, is how in a second your independence can be taken away from you. In the sense, think about it.
Yeah, come to think of it,
Yeah.
Because now you can't move without help.
I can't. I couldn't move without help, especially the first few days. It was very difficult to the point that my mom had to give me a shower. Because, she'd have to take me, she'd have to help me dress up and stuff. And there was a 19-year-old girl, and there's nothing like you're hiding from your mom.
And at that age, you kind of think like you figured things out,
Yeah, I'm a teenager. No, my friend, I was there depending on my mom, the same way I was depending on her as a baby. Yeah. And so so that's one thing it taught me, that it is... That there comes a times you will need people, even if you think you're grown, you've made it or whatever, you still will need people, right? The other thing was, in that, when it's all said and done, like who you are as a person and what you believe in or what you hold dearest, yeah? It really then becomes clear. Yes, in the darkness, but it became clear. Because what became clear was my parents, my baba, my mama, my brothers, Eva, Raf, Lucky. Like, they're the most important people. And they're the faces I longed to see the most. It wasn't about those friends that I just finished high school with. I mean, I liked them and everything. But when it came to it, it was, will I see my family's faces again? That was the one thing that I just kept asking God. And to the point that you actually begin to sort of forget how they look like. You have an idea how they look like, but then you're like, how do they really look like? Just something as small as that. Just something as small as that will I be able to see their faces? And then I would cry. Or like, okay, fine, it so happens that, there's this guy maybe who will eventually, maybe if I do ever get married, but I'll never see his face. I'll never see faces of my kids. And something like that would just be weighing on me. But, and then it would just realize again what we've talked about, the things that matter the most. I didn't think about my career as much. I mean, at that time, remember, I just finished Form 4 and I was going to join uni. But my results, eventually the results did come out. But it wasn't even the priority. It wasn't the thing that was on top of my list. It was more, will I get to see my people? Will I get to see their smiles again? Will I get to just, sit with them and just laugh and high five, I mean, I know even right now I still struggle to
high five.
To high five because it's like, look at that. Like, so something like that.
Yeah.
It's just things like that. So did I get clarity? Yes, in terms of what matters most, the important things. And you did ask about the Lighthouse. Why did I choose a Lighthouse? And the reason why I chose the Lighthouse, because, a lighthouse out in the sea is to help guide the sheep as they're coming to near the bay. And so this light in the darkness for me was God. That he was there with me through it all. That he's the light that is guiding me in this darkness. And there is this ray of hope that comes from having loved ones near me when I'm going through this. So there again, that was also a ray of hope. That was also light in the darkness. And so that's why for me, the Lighthouse was like for the cover. I remember the first time the publisher sent me and it was like eyes. And I was like, no, kill that, please. No, no. Because we're talking about a journey through darkness. And also the title was very, very specific. Because it was not a journey in darkness, because that means that I am dwelling in the darkness or what happened.
Whereas everything is transient.
Exactly. Exactly.
Everything is transient.
Yeah. It was a point in my life that I went through. I didn't stay in. Yeah. So that was the reason behind the title.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting you say that, because there's quite a lot of clarity, because for me, I think you get clarity when you can take layers off and go deeper and see what's underneath there,
right.
Get to the root of it, and then gain perspective that matters. You earlier mentioned of trying to get to a scholarship for masters that you said didn't work at that time, but another one worked, right?
Yes.
Chevening
Scholarship.
Scholar.
Yeah. 2016.
2016.
10 years. Actually.
10 years now.
Yeah.
And so many other things, like things happen in life that seem like it's the end of the world, but it's not really the end of the world.
It is not.
It's not really.
It is absolutely not the end of the world.
Yeah. And I think your journey is a great reminder of that.
Right.
But then, also when all of that, when we're stripped of the things that we think matter, then the things that matter appear.
Correct.
At least appear much more vividly.
Yes.
It's very important to have that. And it's very important to be able to then sift through and see all of these things look important, but are they though?
Something else that also became very clear to me during this journey, I had always wanted to become a judge. Yes, I was always saying that I'll become the first female Chief Justice of Tanzania. Yay, yes. And I was very focused in terms of I'm going to finish my law degree, and then I'll come back and start working as a magistrate. And then after 7 years, I'm going to be promoted to become a judge, to be selected. And then I'll become a judge of the High Court, and then after that, Court of Appeal, and then I'll become a Chief Justice. And I was very focused. But then when this happened, I did pursue my law degree because, yes, that was the field that I wanted to get into. But I discovered along the way that there's so much that I have to offer that I might not fully do that behind the bench. And not necessarily that it's a bad thing that I have gone away from my initial dream. It's just that I'm a very dynamic, versatile person. And I may have been limiting myself in terms of having this very one laser-focused vision.
How did you come about that realization?
First was during the... I was the kind of person that during all the holidays, instead of just staying home for the 3 months during between some university years, I would actually go for internships. That's literally what I would
collecting the work experience.
Collecting the work experience, remember? It's very important. So I was always doing that. And the first few times I would be working alongside the magistrate, near home, it's small community. And I would just go and just observe what she's doing, what they're doing and how they're handling things. And I'm learning, and I'd go back to uni. The following year, I would do the same thing. But then another year, then I would work in a law firm and all that. And so it went on like that. And by the time I am graduating, coming to do law school, and then I started working at the law firm, the one that I worked in for 9 years, that's when I discovered that there's so much I can do. And that the way I was thinking about things, there was so much about the law that I didn't know. And not just the law in terms of knowing, the provisions of the law and whatnot, but rather law as a business, law as a tool for impact. Exactly. So there was all these things that I could do, and I kept discovering. And I'm always very grateful for where I worked. I think I can mention it, Clyde & Co, Tanzania. I worked there for 9 years, and what I remember was the training, especially for young lawyers. I remember, yes, at first I didn't have all this clarity and I was scrambling things. But once I got that, how to prioritize and how to work things, I knew when to prioritize client work, when to do business development, and when to do. And they always gave me those opportunities in terms of, volunteering me for speaking at events, always volunteering me to MC at events. And because of that, then it sort of now developed all these other talents that I have in terms of, facilitating, in terms of moderating. And
which have come in handy right now.
Come in very handy.
Even though I would suppose maybe you didn't see them becoming as handy as, while you were going through them.
Correct.
So, clarity in hindsight.
In hindsight, exactly. So it helped me with this. And so the more I was doing that, the more I was getting exposed, the more, I'm going into this very high profile client meetings, even with, with government officials. And, you're there, you're sitting, sometimes you're presenting, sometimes, you're just there in the background helping out, you've done the research and, you're there with your senior lawyers and whatnot. So it's all those things that were exposing me. And then I realized that, there's so much that I can do. So even when I was going for my master's, I was trying to look for something that was more versatile. So that's why I did a master's in international law and development. Because I was like, yes, I like the law, but I also like the development angle. And I want to explore more about that. So while at university, and it started as a joke, before I didn't know I was going to be a published author, not at all. It's just that one day during the whole recovery process when I was still in the US, I was just talking to my mom about, wow, this experience has been something big and, I should share. I should share. Then, I just said it in passing. And the next day my mom had gone shopping and she came back with a journal. And she told me to start writing. I'm like, start writing what? I know, bless her heart. My mother is amazing. Like, what should I write? She's like, you talked about writing this. I think it will be good. It will really help people. And I was like, okay, I wasn't that serious. It's just something that I said, But then she was like, right. And so that also kept me busy because during the recovery process, there wasn't very much I could do. And I was just sitting there waiting and, until the doctors would give me the all clear to travel. And so this, again, now it was something I was very interested in. And I started writing. And if you look at that journal, most of the first few pages, I was not writing within the lines because I couldn't see the lines. So I was just writing whatever I was writing.
Yeah.
But it was just all these
You
thoughts.
still have
that
a
were still fresh.
journal?
I still have it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have it. It's in my parents' house. Safest place to keep it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right there. And I just remember just scribbling things, and I'm just writing everything that's coming in. So if you do read the initial what I've written, it's a lot more than what was published, because I was writing everything. And I remember my eldest brother Everest, he was the first person to like type out what I had written. He typed it out just to put it in
Like
soft
in
copy.
a soft copy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't read my own handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just scribbling. But my brother sat through that, and
he had to
typed it.
like get into your frame of mind and be like, this
Exactly.
is what she was probably trying to write here.
And then I remember one time one of his comments was like, okay, Maggie, we get it that you were invited to in the US now, the Tanzanian community that was there, they used to invite us for like dinners and lunches and stuff. So I would go and I would write everything about the dinner and the food. And it's like, okay, Maggie, I get it. You kept invited, but do we really need to know about all the food that you ate? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of the first things that had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it just, through the whole process, the whole journey, it just developed all this clarity. And I remember when it was first, and Everest, my brother, actually, he's the one who first got me published. So before I was published in Tanzania by Mkuki na Nyota, the book was first published in the US, even though I was studying in the UK at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know, my brother is very good with research. And I was like, oh, I have to finish this book. I don't know how it ends because I just don't know. So anyway, I just wrote up until the first, up until like me joining now university and, trying to navigate through, being in school. And then that's when my brother typed it out. We sent out the manuscript. Before sending it out, my brother again, I remember he just sent it to one of his professor friends, like, please, could you edit?
Yeah, go through it.
And she did. She's an English lady married to a Tanzanian guy. That's how I ever got to know of her. And she edited, and because she now gave the perspective of someone who is not from the Tanzanian culture. Reading this book, would they understand what's going on? So because now she's married into the culture, but also she has the
British perspective of
exactly, and so that really was very helpful. It was very helpful, and I also gave another of my professors to also go through it, and that's when it was eventually published. And I'm grateful. In terms of that, and my other brother Rafa, trust me, it was a whole family affair. Okay. Of course, my mom and my dad helped in terms of the input, especially around the time when there were things that were happening or people were coming to visit that I didn't know. So they would definitely, add the
give
input,
you context.
Like, oh yeah, this person was also there, or this person. So I'm like, oh, okay. What was their name again? And then, I would write that. And then my brother Raphael, at the time, he was studying in Australia. So as soon as it was published, he also wanted copies in Australia, and sharing with his friends. And exactly. So it was.
But this is what we were saying, guys.
Yeah,
like you gotta have like your foundation, your core people.
Yes.
And family, and sometimes people who've developed into family.
Yes.
And hold on to that relationship. That's like your anchor.
It does.
in each and everything.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm gonna ask you a question.
Right.
If someone is where you were, literally or figuratively, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, and this is something that you've touched on, that nothing is permanent. That the situation you're in is not permanent, but rather, what are you going to learn from that experience, and what are you going to make out of it, that whole experience? Because if you look at my 2008, literally my world went dark, literally. So I could have chosen to live in that space, in that, now we've come to the end. What's going to happen to me? I am miserable. I'm not going to amount to anything or anything like that, right? But then because of my faith in God, the family that was surrounding me, the friends that were there. I had this other cousin of mine who was like my personal assistant, and to date I call him my PA because he was the one who's now sending messages to my friends that FYI, Maggie is blind. Yeah, so she will not be able to read your text for a while.
Yeah. Did they have voice notes on mainstream back then already? Not yet.
Wow.
No?
Okay. Why are you trying to make me feel like I'm so old? But okay, it was just normal text. Yeah, it was just normal text.
It is a long time ago.
It is. It really is. I mean, there was
2008 is a long time ago.
Yeah, there was definitely no WhatsApp.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So just that when you're going through that, just be there. Appreciate what you're going through. It will not be the most interesting. At times it will hurt. It will be painful. But appreciate what you have with you. If I look at my 2023, this one again was, okay, what am I learning out of this? And it has now helped me really know that I am so capable of doing so much. If I put my mind to it, I'm capable. And I have a team, I have people who are ready to support me, to encourage me. And there's some things that have been developed because somebody said, Maggie, you can actually do this. And I'm like, really? Like, I see this in you and I go for it. And I'm grateful about that. I mean, even the trainings that we do with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, yeah, there's something you do. So there's sometimes you do at church. But then it was like, you call me and you're like, Maggie, I want you to do this training. And I'm like, oh, okay, he believes in me. He believes that I can do this. So I don't want to disappoint. And so I do it. So it's, if you're in that situation, if you're in my 2008 or you're in my 2023, is just, it's not permanent. Learn from it. And just know that the people who are surrounding you, like, who's in your circle. Yeah.
I think the big theme in this conversation has been like your circle, your foundation.
My circle.
Yeah. So we've had a good chat.
Yeah.
Let's do our Yellowstone National Park mugs.
I know.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes.
This is supposed to be like a coffee conversation.
Yeah,
but you know.
And Yellowstone, that was amazing. I think we should have a whole podcast about our US trip. That road
that
trip.
was like 26 states.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. Fantastic. They need to they should just let us have the visa.
Yeah. We
finish the rest of the states.
Yeah, I think we're on timeout. We're on timeout. Anyway, is there anything that, now that we've had this conversation, is there anything that has become clearer for you?
I think going through this, this was some sort of therapy as well.
Okay.
I don't know, but in terms of, because when you asked me to do this, and I was like, what is clarity? What am I supposed to talk about clarity? Do I have clarity? You know? But what has become clear to me, I think verbalizing it more is, I am very grateful for my circle. I am very grateful for my circle because they ground me. In terms of clarity is what I'm also inspired by the fact that, you just went ahead and this podcast, you're like, you know what, let's do this. We'll learn.
Figure things out as we
when
go.
you get to episode 50, one day we'll be looking back, be like, oh yeah, remember that. And then it'll be like, you'll have already seen the growth and the progress. And for me, actually, people have been asking me for a second book. Yes.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it is time.
Last year, actually, one of my students took the book to her boarding school and gave her friends to read. And they then wrote to me and they were very grateful about the book, they're appreciative, and they were asking me, when is the next book coming? And they're not the first people. Several people have been like, no, I'm not there yet. I'm just still trying to see. And even my publisher has asked me about a second book.
Now I am asking you about a second book.
Wow. Okay. Pressure, no pressure.
Yeah.
But it's just, and I was thinking about it this morning, that I think it's time I start writing the second book, because a lot has happened since I wrote this book, because this book ends with me graduating and starting my job at Clyde & Co. And so now it's been, how many years since that time? We're looking about 13 years, 12 years. So what has happened in these 12 years?
Yeah.
That I can share with the world. So hoping.
Where did the Lighthouse lead you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what people are waiting to hear. Funny enough is that my uncle, Dr. Bwana, the one I mentioned, on Sunday, while celebrating his birthday, he said, we need to co-author a book.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, that's
That'd be
fascinating.
a very deep book.
I know, especially, I mean, with his wealth of knowledge.
Right?
Wow, it would just, I mean, even if I just write the forward, I'd be appreciative, but I think he wants us to collaborate. So that's something. And I think that is something that now that I've said it on air, I have to make sure I get it started. Because it would, I think it's something that would really help a lot of people. And it, for me, to just be like quite the highlight that I've co-authored a book with my uncle, who's my mentor. Yeah.
And
So,
you know what?
yeah.
At that time, we're a much bigger podcast, and we bring you guys on again and we talk about that book.
Oh, that
How
would be
about we make a
fantastic.
deal?
That
So
would
now
be
I have a
fantastic.
reason to keep pestering you. I'm like, when's that book out?
Oh,
Because you're delaying us from being a big podcast, you know. So yeah,
I know.
that's the plan.
That would be fantastic. But yeah, so I think that's in terms of clarity.
Yeah.
In terms of that, I should go for it. I know there are times I have reasons why I shouldn't do something, but I think now there's a reason. And I should go for it, because I think I was expecting that there's something absolutely major that has happened for me to write the book. And I'm like, well, if you do them collectively, there are actually some big wins.
Exactly.
Maggie, you've come across some big wins.
Yeah.
So you can write about that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I'll start on that, and I don't know when the final chapter for that one will be. So now we're talking about
I think I
two
know,
different
but I'm not
books.
going to say it on air.
We're talking about two books,
Yeah.
because there's the one that I have to write as a continuation of this Journey Through Darkness, but also the one that I'll co-author with my uncle. So there's two books coming up. Yeah. And we do have the same publisher, so I'm sure a publisher will be very happy.
Yeah, helping him make more money. Anyway, Maggie, that was a good conversation.
Thanks for watching.
It was a pleasure. You made it easier for me, and I believe people will find value in whatever we've done. I mean, that's really the whole point of doing this, that people find value. For me, the question, especially after the transition last year, was what would I be doing 20 years from now? And I think this is a platform for doing that. And because for me, my one word is clarity. Clarity is what I'm always after. Temperamentally, that's what my temperament is also always after. I thought, let's have conversations about clarity, and hopefully this has helped somebody sort of get an answer to a question they were, contemplating. And, if that's the case, please do let us know in the comments, or do, inbox us wherever you're watching this or listening to this, and we'd appreciate to know that if what we're doing has an impact on someone. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this get the book, whatever you've just heard here is a summary of it. You can get it at if you're in Dar es Salaam, TPH bookstore. I presume even TPH has online avenues, but you can also find it online on Amazon and on a few other sites. You will find a link on the description if you're watching on YouTube, or on show notes if you're listening to this podcast. And please let us know if you got in the book. If you are struggling, just let us know. We'll get the book. We'll help you get the book. But wonderful story, and thank you very much, Maggie, for sharing it. All right, guys, that was episode 1 of Clarity, and we're looking forward to do more of this. Please let us know what you thought of this conversation. This is Clarity with Fortune.